Day 3 of Bears head coaching interviews. We're going to talk Pete Carroll. We're going to talk Marcus Freeman. And we got Al Harris joining us here on the CHGO Bears Podcast.
And welcome in to the CHGO Bears Podcast on a beautiful, snowy. We're celebrating Notre Dame, not because we're really want to celebrate Notre Dame, but we want to celebrate you, Greg Braggs, because we love you so much, and you're a diehard Notre Dame fan who can't name anybody on the Notre Dame team. But we love you just the same. Al Harris is here, the former Bear Ho. Good to see you. But Gregory, just before we, even welcome in our esteemed guest, I just want to let you celebrate right now, buddy. You're in the college football championship, buddy.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Two teams I root for at the college level, Notre Dame football, Purdue basketball, both made it to the national championship this year. So maybe all my sorrows wasted on the pro teams I root for. I guess I need to focus on the positives, right, Al? That was a great game. Right. It was a great game last night, even if you're not a fan of either team. It was a lot of fun watching that football game.
Congrats, Greg. Congrats, Greg. You're going down. Ohio State, Texas.
All that crying about all that losing all year. Oh, my team made it to the Final Four and the national championship.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah. All right. Well, let's bring in Big Al here and let's get going. We'll talk Marcus Freeman coming up. We're going to take a close look at Pete Carroll. Actually, Hogue, can you remind everybody that we have this coaching tracker that people should be checking out before we go any further, please?
100%. I'm looking at it right now. It's an outstanding resource, even just for us to be using at the same time. We had an update right before we even got started here because the Patriots just announced that they just finished their virtual interview with Ben Johnson. So as news like that comes in, we update the tracker. It's free to everybody. All CHGO.com/coaching search. And then within each candidate, and there's even a calendar. This got updated since yesterday. I don't even know. I think it's Kevin Kadick and Pat Norton doing all the outstanding work on it. But there's a calendar on here now. You click on a candidate, you can see all the updates. And then within there is some diehard content, some extra written pieces by myself and Pat. So the diehards are getting some extra. Make sure you become a diehard, allchgo.com/diehard. But the actual tracker itself is free. Go check it out. It's an outstanding resource as we all try to follow everything going on. It's a lot.
And so this is a perfect segue to Al, as literally Al could talk about anything and has a zillion thoughts all over the football field. But drafted in 1979, 9 overall, coming in with Hamp and witnessing the change into Ditka and witnessing coaching staff changes and what impact that could have. Al, speak on from your side of the street here, what you think the Bears should be looking for to get them out of the 5-12 abyss that we just lived through this year.
Well, I think for one, obviously I look at their team and I look at the beginning of the season and how they played at the beginning of the season and that they fell apart after the Washington game. That was just really bothersome to me because I feel this team has more talent than it showed. I feel like they've really underachieved as a team. If you think about the teams they played, Washington, Caleb comes down there, drives them down to the goal line. Eberflus gets a brain fart, hands it to an offensive guard, right? You get a fumble. They come back, Caleb drives them down again, score. Then we know what happens at the end. Then at the next two games, the team just totally locks up. Arizona game, I was at the Arizona game with you guys. As you know, I live out here in Phoenix area. We know what happened there. And in New England, my goodness, how can we get bombed there? And then we come back and play 3 of the toughest teams in the league, back to back to back, take them to the last second. And as we know what happened with the coaching. And then we see the team go backwards again. And then the last game they play against Green Bay, they come and win. You know, you can't play close with all those really good teams without talent. But I just don't think this team right now has leadership. And so when I'm looking at a coach, see, when I was with the Bears in the early 80s, I'm going to give you an example of what we had in our locker room going on in our locker room. So I came from a winning team. I was at Arizona State University. We were the second team. We were ranked number 2 in the country my freshman year. We were ranked probably every year except my sophomore year. So I was used to playing with winning teams. And Jim Finks was bringing in a lot of winning guys. And so the first year I got there was 79. We went to the playoffs. And the next 2 years, we really went backwards. And we had a coach named Neil Armstrong. And Neil Armstrong reminds me a lot of Flus from the standpoint, really nice guy, good guy, but the inmates were running this island. You know what I'm saying? And so Halla spotted this, and we were able to keep Buddy because we were growing. We're a young team, and I'll tell you more about Buddy in the development later. But we kept Buddy, and then he got Ditka, which we needed badly because Ditka was a butt kicker. We needed that because we had too many guys that were not mentally strong. So let me give you an example.
Well, let me ask you this, just as the young buck, you know, here, and I know Carm lived through these days, but I'm interested in this when you talk about Buddy, like you needed the butt kicker in Mike Ditka. So Buddy Ryan, as an X's and O's guy, had all the plays. He wasn't necessarily the guy that was going to call you guys out the same way.
No. It wasn't defense that needed a butt kicking. It was the offensive side. Defense, Buddy, oh my goodness. Buddy would call you to the carpet in a minute. As a matter of fact, if you ask Hamp, Otis, Singletary, myself, all the number 1 picks, we all thought Buddy hated us in the first year. I mean, he never even called us by our name. He just called us either by our number or a cuss word. That was it. So, no, Buddy called us to the carpet many times. The offense, that was a different story. So when Ditka came in and he didn't, he came from Dallas, right? He came from a winning program. He was with Tom Landry. Ditka was never an X and O guy, but he was a really good leader and he had great vision and he wasn't going to tolerate any nonsense. And we kept everything in-house for the most part. So when you have a leader, and see, that's the thing is, Caleb, I'm awesome for Caleb. I want to see him get an offensive coach that knows how to develop him best. But this team needs more than an offensive guru. It needs a leader, and that's the thing that I'm looking for, and hopefully the Bears are looking for, is if he's the offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, special team coach like Ditka was, whoever he is, that he's a leader, that he sets the culture, that he demands accountability, which we didn't get from the last coaching staff, that players stop making excuses. I like listening to you guys show a lot. I was listening to Greg talk about guys yapping too much on social media. And I know they're trying to be friends and stuff like that. You keep that stuff in house, man. You don't bring that stuff out there. And, we're all curious to find out, right, from the outside in. But if you're really a leader, if you're really wanting to win, Singletary and all those guys, Walter and those guys, they never talked outside of that. They kept all that stuff in house. So that's the kind of thing I want to see, is someone, that has that type of accountability.
Al, who do you have in mind? Are the guys that have been, whether it's somebody the Bears have interviewed or somebody else that you just like out there in the coaching world, like who do you think that person is that can fix all these issues you're bringing up?
Well, my number 1 choice is probably most of people's choice is Vrabel. Listening to the guys that are on the Bears that played for him, he's had experience. he comes off that way. He looks like a Bear coach. You know what I mean? Like when you're looking at him. And I'm not saying that's the only reason you take him, but he seems to be one of those guys that is not going to take any nonsense off anybody. And listening to these guys talk about lack of accountability and getting rid of all the BS and all that stuff. Obviously, there was a lot of rinky-dink stuff going on in the locker room, which needs to be corrected. And I think Vrabel is that type of guy. You know, some of the other coaches, I know Ben Johnson's very seductive from the standpoint of watching the type of plays he calls and stuff like that. He's a phenomenal offensive coach. You know, I don't know about his leadership yet. I don't know enough about that. And that's the risk you take all the time with coordinators. I think of was the coordinator that was New England, was a hotshot guy.
Josh McDaniels.
Yeah, Josh McDaniels. Remember how he was? Shoot, I think he might have been hotter than Ben Johnson.
Yeah.
Well, and Cliff Kingsbury too, right? He, you know, he's a hot candidate, and then it crashed and burned. You know, I'm curious, and I don't want you, Al. You know, I appreciate you as a friend of the program, and being able to meet you in Arizona was really cool as well. So I don't want you to take offense to this question, but I know just hearing fans inside their head right now and listening to you as somebody that was from the 80s Bears and for our generation that didn't get to experience that and just wants to look ahead and win our championship that I haven't and we haven't experienced. From the philosophies that you hold true to what is foundational success in the NFL, how much do you think it's changed from when you played to now? Is there any acknowledgement of how things are different now in the league, of what the requirements are to be successful and how you deal with players?
You know, I would say there's always different types of schemes. Number one, like when you look at, you know, schemes that changed over the years, like the 46 defense, that was a big buzz. The West Coast offense, that was a big buzz, right? Now you got the Shanahan, you know, McVay kind of thing going on, right? One thing I've always learned is schemes don't matter anything if you don't have players. I remember when the 46 came out, everyone tried to run a 46. Most of those teams failed miserably. Why? Because one, you need the type of players to run it. Two, you need to know how to teach players to develop.
Right.
And I think it doesn't matter what generation, this game is always fast and physical. It's always decided by the trenches all the time, right? You look at college, right? How's it decided in the trenches? You look at, everybody talks about Detroit. What are they doing? They're manhandling people. That doesn't change. That doesn't change regardless of the era. I think the big thing, Greg, is that you have to teach guys. You know, I think about the guys who have succeeded. Belichick, great teacher. I was just watching this thing on Vince Lombardi this past week, listening to how he was great teacher. Those are the guys you see that last for years. And if you're a great teacher, it doesn't matter the era.
Right.
You're going to be good.
Hey, Al, but before you head out, the number one thing the Bears need on the field is?
On the field?
Yep.
Mental toughness. Mental toughness.
What
are you talking about? It could be that or physical. Are you talking about just physically? Or
well, I'm saying let's go even further than that. Done. Mental toughness. Need that. Player acquisition. I know that you're very high right now on the Bears adding a running back to make things easier on Caleb. Do you think with proper coaching to what you're talking about, the offensive line has somewhat enough that they can sort of piecemeal it together, or would you just prioritize that over everything?
No, don't get me wrong. When I'm saying I like the running back is, you know, if you look at, you know, the top teams in the conference right now, you know, Henry over there at Baltimore, Saquon over at Philly, Jacobs over at Green Bay. They all got them through free agency. And all those teams are in the playoffs. And I think the running back game is coming back. It's cyclical. If you think about the league, it's cyclical. You know, you'll get the passing game going for a long time. And then everybody will change their personnel to defend the pass. And that's where the running game's doing good, because you got a lot of nickel defenses, you got a lot of small guys in there, and people realize, like, hey, run at them. And you always have to be balanced, you know. So I kind of look at it that way, is that, and trust me, they need some offensive linemen. I'm not shucking that, but they also need a legitimate, and I'm not trying to insult Swift. Swift's a good back, but he can't get the tough yards. You know, if you look at the really good backs, they can get that tough yards. And you got to be able to run through tackles. You got to be able to break tackles as well as being explosive. You know, so I would like to see them get a back.
I know where you're going with this. You're an Arizona State guy. You want Cam Scatterbo.
Well, you know, I love him, but you know, even if it's not him, someone that can break tackles, that can be a threat. You know,
you're an Ashton Genty guy.
Yeah, I like him a lot. Because, you know, let me share this one thing. Finks did draft a lot of great linemen, and, you know, on both sides of the ball. But if I remember straight, he also drafted Walter Payton. So, and that was one of his first picks, I think. So what I'm saying is, I don't want the Bears to reach for an offensive lineman. If the offensive lineman is worthy at the 10th pick, pick him. But I don't want him to kind of like, okay, we need offensive lineman, and you reach for a guy and he ends up being like, who was the guy that the Bears brought in from the Raiders a couple years ago? It was a #1 lineman draft pick for the Raiders, and he didn't pan out. I'm trying to remember the kid's name.
From Alabama. What?
Yep.
Jesus, I'm even forgetting his name too. And he
well, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
See, I don't want them to pick a guy that I don't want them to reach for a lineman. I'm hoping they get most of their linemen in free agency, and they do, you know, or, you know, use that pick and maybe trade back a couple, you know, if you could trade back a pick or two, maybe pick up a couple extra picks. They definitely need linemen, more offensive than defensive. I think they could tweak the defensive linemen more. I think what's going to be key to their defensive linemen is Booker. And I know a lot of people might be like, he didn't do much this year. He reminds me so much of Richard Dent's rookie year. He was just very undersized. And when Richard put on 15 to 20 pounds of muscle, he was a different dude. And I think this guy, I would like to see, I hope he does it before the draft so the Bears can get a better look to see what he would do, because he's got all the skills. He's just, you know, he's got an undersized body. He almost has he has a college, almost high school type upper body. But if he can get some size on him, he had a pretty good game against Green Bay, I thought.
Yeah.
But he's just kind of undersized, you know, and I'd like to see him get stronger and thicker. I'd like to see on the offensive line, who was the kid that got hurt? The left guard that got hurt. He came in and played well, and he got hurt. He hurt his pec. You know,
left guard Peckett. Oh, come on.
Who's the guy that got hurt? He has this very generic name. Trying to remember his name. He was a left guard for the Bears. And he got hurt in the mid-season, and he came out and he was playing. I liked him because he was physical and he was getting after guys, and he hurt his pec.
Doug Kramer.
Yeah. No,
Bill Murray. Bill Murray. Gary.
What's his name?
Bill Murray. Bill Murray. That's who I saw. I got you.
Yeah,
Al, we got to hit a break here.
Okay.
But
we love you, Al.
It's guys like that they're going to have to continue to develop behind the scenes. I also like Austin Booker, so we'll see where that all goes. But we appreciate you being on here with us today.
Thanks,
Al. Appreciate it.
All right,
we got to hit our first break here. We're a little late for it, so we appreciate Al jumping on with us today. But first, let's talk about our friends at Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary. Here to elevate your winter, Sunnyside is your home for judgment-free cannabis shopping. They have a crazy selection with over 100 different strains to choose from, with easy online ordering and in-store pickup. You can stop in the store nearest you throughout Illinois for expert guidance from their staff, or select from quality lines like Cresco or Florical. And right now, you want to get the limited time offer on Island Vibes which is available in disposable vapes, 510 carts, and live resin gummies. Visit sunnyside.shop for bright buys every day, including 50% off your first 3 online purchases. Enter promo code HICHGO at checkout to qualify. Exclusions apply. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary. Bright buys every day, only for 21 plus or Illinois medical card holders.
Yeah, and a shout out to our friends at Saturday Neon. It was started by 2 college friends. Saturday Neon making officially licensed collegiate logo LED neon signs. Perfect for your home, office, dorm room, fan cave, bar, garage where you hang out because Jenny wants you to be in the garage. Check out the new Essentials collection featuring almost 50 of the biggest schools across the country and counting. They're only $75. No better way to represent your favorite Big Ten team or that team down in South Bend, any way you want to go here. And unlike traditional neon, these LED signs, they won't break or shatter, but they still give you that classic uniform glow that you know and love. Super easy to install, low voltage, the perfect gift for your sports fans. CHGO has used Saturday Neon to get our studio signs, and you've seen them. They look great. Use that code CHGO for 10% off your order at SaturdayNeon.com. All right, Gregory, you're in the national championship game. Part of the reason that you're there is because of Marcus Freeman, who was never a head coach before the Irish promoted him from defensive coordinator. 9-win season, 10-win season, lost in Northern Illinois this year. People, this guy ain't it. 10 wins in a row, contract extension, all the things.
What was that word?
What?
The list just went off the rails there.
Have a stroke, say ain't it? No, he's right though. I mean, when they lost to Northern Illinois, Cole came into studio that next Tuesday, and I was like cussing him out about it. I was like, "You guys, okay?" Adam was standing right there. I was like, "You guys do this every year. You're a part of this too. I'm sick of I waste my time believing in this team because the week before they had beat Texas A&M, and I had said, I'm like, I'm not even going to get excited about this because I know what you guys are going to do. You're going to lose to somebody you shouldn't. And then they did the very next week.
You see how he does this? It's like when they lost to NIU, he's blaming Cole for it. It was not even on the team.
That's exactly what I did.
And now that they're winning, now it's his team.
No.
He only claims the winning.
They were always – listen, no. Do not do the bandwagon thing. What it is I should be getting some recognition for helping this because I think this is what I'm going to do. I think this is what I'm going to do with the Bears going forward. I am just going to hate on them and just never believe in them and doubt because then it has worked this entire season for Notre Dame. And I'm going to continue to doubt them. They have no shot of winning the national championship. But going back to Marcus Freeman, absolutely doing a fantastic job. And if you're asking the question, should he be, considered to be a candidate or go ahead?
I am. We are.
Yes. So, I mean, to me, if he wins the national championship, I not only think the Bears will be considering him as an option, I think there will be other teams around the league. And if the question simply is he worthy of it? He absolutely is worthy of it. Obviously, there's buyout considerations and things you have to, maneuver through. But I just on its surface, if you're trying to get ahead of the curve of somebody that could be a great NFL head coach, he has all the intangibles. And I think one of the things I really have looked at here through these college football playoffs is, he certainly is the CEO type. And he's not running their defense. Al Golden is running their defense as their defensive coordinator. The thing that really impresses me is how much he combines culture with the analytics that a lot of, some of these forward-thinking teams go to. He has an analytics advisor standing right next to him the entire game. This season, they went for it on fourth down more than any team in college football. Does it sound familiar, Bears fans? That's what the Lions do. And so he's got an aggressive mentality. He puts the confidence in his team. Look at how they play. Look at the adjustments they made in the second half. Look at what they did against Georgia, throwing them off to throw offsides. There's so many good things just in these 3 games alone here in the college football playoff. But just overall, I think he absolutely would be a phenomenal candidate. And if they win the national championship, just don't be surprised to see his name starting to come back to the surface.
Hogue, you think this is legit? Do you think the Bears are – he's making $9.5
Well, it's the question,
million.
do I think he can become the Bears head coach or should he be in the conversation? Those are two different things.
Let's go with the first one. Actually, answer them both. Let's start with the first one. Should he be, and do you think he will be? Let's go that way.
I already reported in November the Bears had interest in Marcus Freeman. I believe they did their homework on Marcus Freeman. Somewhere in the building, somebody is very interested in Marcus Freeman. That's been the case in the past. You do that with a number of different candidates. Sometimes it leaks out, sometimes it doesn't. That does not mean that he's going to be interviewed or be a serious candidate. If I had to guess, I would not expect him to be. But that might be up to Marcus Freeman, though. And I've also heard that from that other side, is that he's very happy in college and kind of wants to be a college coach. And some guys don't ever. The thing is, there's been kind of this division, and I think there's good reasons for it, because it would be one of the fears with Marcus Freeman. It's great. This is all working with a bunch of 18 to, well, I guess college guys are up to like 28 years old now with all the eligibility they get. But and I don't know if this will change over time with NIL and stuff, and maybe there'll be a little bit more crossover in terms of how rosters are built and things like that, and dealing with guys that are, getting paid like Caleb Williams was last year. But right now, like if you look at, I was talking about Mike Kafka on Hogan Johns this morning. So for instance there, like he got his start with Pat Fitzgerald at Northwestern, but after 1 year, he's like, I'm going to Kansas City, where I played for Andy Reid. I'm going to get in the NFL coaching world. Right. There is a wall there that you kind of have to cross over to early in today's football world. So I think there would be a lot of hesitation. We've seen it before, though. We saw Matt Rule get a huge contract a few years ago from Carolina Panthers. Just more times than not, it seems not to work. So that's obviously going to be the fear. Now, if you're going to ask me the second part of that, which is, do I think he should be a candidate? I love his leadership style. I think that it can transcend to the NFL and get through with NFL players, and certainly be an upgrade over what the Bears have had inside that building the last few years. My fear, though, would be his staff. Who's he hiring? His staff right now is full of college guys. Greg, who's the offensive coordinator? Remind me. For Notre Dame.
I don't know.
No chance he knows.
Jesus.
No.
Who's the starting center?
No chance.
No
Who's
chance.
I just.
Come on. I'm not.
Mike Denbrock.
Mike Denbrock. That's right.
Okay. I don't know enough about Mike Denbrock off the top of my head. My point is, these are college guys. Al Golden's been coaching in college forever. Now, he does have head coaching experience. I like that he, has a defense coordinator that was a head coach. Maybe he can do it at the NFL level. But it would be a tremendous leap, is my point. As much as I do like his leadership style and do love what he's doing, I'll run him through the simulator. We'll see what grade gets spit out here.
I do like Matt Nagy's comment in the chat. He said Marcus Freeman is a leader of boys, not a leader of men. But I get it. But the one thing, he had a quote. I shared the video on Twitter yesterday, and I just thought, when you talk about how you compare it to what's going on with the Bears, listen to what Al Harris was saying earlier about leaders. And this is something we've talked about throughout the season, and a lot of people don't like this narrative kind of talk, but it is a tangible thing that goes on in locker rooms, and he's cultivating that in the Notre Dame locker room right now. And his quote was, "We don't love leaders by example, because leaders by example are guys that just do what they're told, do everything they're asked, but they don't say things when their teammates aren't reaching a standard. We need more leaders, guys that are willing to hold their teammates accountable." That is a direct line to what has been an issue of the many issues the Bears had this season, is that they have 8 captains. I said it all season. Too many captains, not enough leaders, not enough guys that are willing to get in each other's faces. And you're starting to hear that spill over here as the season ended, how everyone wasn't willing to call each other out. And that's something that needs to change this season. And if the guys in the locker room aren't really cut like that, which to me, I think is something they need to adjust personally, having somebody that's at the front of the room that is cut like that will trickle down into the culture of your locker room. Overall, obviously, I understand that this is a long shot, likely not to happen. When you look at from a timing perspective, for him, he's just getting his feet sunken into being a great Notre Dame head coach. Why would he leave right now? Certainly, when you look at the money they're making as a non-conference team in the college football playoff, they just made, by making it to the national championship, $20 million for their school. In comparison, if Ohio State makes it to the national championship, they have to split the same revenue that Notre Dame gets all to themselves, and they only come away with $1.1 million that goes to their school if they make it to the national championship tonight. So the money aspect is out of this world and a huge incentive for him to stay. And then you look from the Bears side of things. If they were in a different part of where they are as a team, Marcus Freeman might make all the sense in the world right now if they were just at the ground floor. But the fact of the matter is, to bring in a guy like this that, it's a huge long shot. I understand it's an outside shot, but I just think from a scenario standpoint that they miss out on the first 5 guys they're trying to get. And I'm just throwing out a hypothetical scenario. Then all of a sudden he might become one of the more intriguing candidates that are on that second tier.
Love that you went that they missed out on the first 5 as a possibility. If we could land over it's hey, I'm not saying it's off the table. By the way, one thing on Notre Dame, most likable Notre Dame team I've ever seen. Marcus Freeman, pretty damn likable on the sidelines. Riley Leonard, likable QB. I normally hate Notre Dame. They're not. There's something about this team that is just different. By the way, also Notre Dame's endowment, as you're talking about the money, is $19 billion. And it costs $70,000 to go to Notre Dame every year. College tuition is ridiculous. I'd like to take that on as a separate topic on a new Carm college tuition show. I find it to be offensive that it costs this much to go to university, and I'm fighting for you out there, the 18-year-old.
Okay.
And by the way, Hogue brags. Do you notice anything different about me today? Nothing? Zero? Not even a comment?
You're wearing glasses?
You had the wrong mic. You're still making background noise. Everything's the same. It's the same. Same remote
Whatever. Okay, Hogue. I hear you. There will not be one more tap on this table the rest of the show.
And you're late for the second ad read.
I'm not late. I'm right on time. Shout out to our friends. But first, thank you, Gregory. Shout out to our friends at Game Time. If you want to go see Notre Dame play in the national championship and learn more about their endowment of $19 billion, hey, Game Time's right there for you. NFL playoff games, by the way, is inspiring you to connect with other fans. Look, what about doing it in the stadium one day? Soldier Field memory. Perhaps you could buy that ticket in the future with Game Time. Curated deals make it easier to find the best price on the great seats for any event. There's a super deal. That's the best value for the event. All these things they do here: seat views before you buy, on-time ticket delivery, lowest price guarantee, event cancellation protection. Seriously, take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code CHGO. $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create that account, use that redeem code CHGO for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed.
That's right. And if you're getting ready to bet on the college football national championship, you can hit up Circa Sportsbook to put all your money on Notre Dame, whether it's pro or college. The app to bet football is Circa Sports Illinois. Circa Sports, it's sports betting the way it should be. Circa Sports Illinois has high betting limits, low holds, and exceptional customer service. Bet on all your favorite teams in every game this season. Spreads, props, futures, or in-game. Circa Sports has it. Fund and bet like a pro from anywhere, anytime in Illinois. Download your new bookie today at circasports.com. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Shout out to Derek and all the crew at Circa. Hey, the Bears play in Vegas.
All those Lions fans.
All those Lions fans that George sold a suite to.
So, Carm, what is the story with the glasses?
Is that what it is? Because you said what's different.
Well, so Gregory yesterday was so kind to take me to the places where I get glasses, South Loop Eye Care. And I went in there yesterday and they were like, how about, we circle you out a little bit more. You see, it's more circly. And I'm more of it's a wider, more different lensy professional look that I'm going with. And I thought that you guys would say something, but you didn't. And
well, what I thought it was is like where you have like your go-to glasses, but you lost those. So then you got to like pull out the grandma ones. No, they look great. And it's interesting that glasses are the topic of the day because I had to have and we'll get to our next topic. I promise I'll make it quick, but it was interesting you're bringing up glasses because I had to have like a hardcore father moment here last night and this morning. My wife found glasses in her backpack and was like, where did you get these? She has like this glasses obsession. We got her like 10, just like not prescription glasses. We got her glasses for Christmas because her friends wear them and she wants to wear these like stylish glasses. And so she found a prescription pair of glasses in her backpack. And she had this whole story. And I knew it because I was a troublemaker as a kid. I'm like, she had this whole story how she found them. Well, no, she took them from a classmate. So I had to go to school today, make sure that she told the truth and fessed up to her wrongdoing for her poor classmate, Oliver. My 6-year-old daughter's already lifting things from people. So watch your wallets, guys.
As a longtime thief over here, you can get through these things.
She told the truth, though. That's the end of the story. She was honest.
How many times did Bob have to do that with you?
Oh my gosh! One time I chucked a granola bar. This guy at the front of the bus, Mike Vandervelde, was like flicking me off or something, and I took a granola bar and chucked it to the front of the bus to hit him in the head. And it missed him and hit the bus driver in the back of the head while she was driving. And I swore up and down, I did not do this. Do not pin this on me. I will go to my grave. I never did this. So they take my poor mother who defended me to the end of the earth while I was lying through my teeth. They take us to like the bus place where like the offices are. And they sit us down. They turn on the TV. They've got the recorded evidence. And my poor mother, who is defending me the whole time, you guys got it out for him. Just because he's, a troubled kid doesn't mean you can blame this on him. And then as soon as the TV came up, I just put my head down. And I was like, well, we're going to have to take this one on the chin, Barb. Let's get out of here.
What did Barb? Okay.
We have to take out of this.
We are deep in the weeds now, but now what did Barb do to you after that? Great job, Greg, or did she punish you?
No, I got in a lot of trouble like I always did as a kid.
Okay.
That's all I did. I lived my whole life being grounded.
Could be something to reinstitute in 2025.
I was going to say, I wish I had that power.
Yeah.
I will chuck a granola bar at both of you.
That's just a funny thing to throw. A granola bar.
What was in my hand?
You being impulsive completely doesn't track at all. That's something that I can't believe that happened. All right, awkward transition. Can we talk about Pete Carroll, please? Because you're talking about candidate number 3, 4, and 5. It is official. The Bears met with Pete Carroll, and I've been sitting on this for a couple of days now as to why I think that Pete Carroll actually threads the needle the best for what the Bears are looking for. Don't worry about his 73-year-old age either. I know that's the first thing that everyone wants to talk about. Dude's got more energy than all of us combined, guys. I mean, come on. Have you ever watched Pete Carroll up and down the sidelines? He's top 5 energetic coach in the history of college football in the NFL, where he's, of course, won a Super Bowl, Rose Bowls, national championships, the whole thing. I mean, 14 seasons in the NFL, Jets, New England, Seattle. Everybody, of course, talks about the Seattle tenure, but he's, just remember 3 of them. He's got 18 seasons, 14 of them over 500, 4 under 500, okay? And to me, what's most interesting when you think about his tenure is you go back to Russell Wilson. And if you remember, it's different from what we have here with the number 1 overall pick in Caleb. But Russell was a 3rd-round pick. They had gone out that year, signed Matt Flynn after he had 5 seconds of success with the Packers, gave him a $26 million contract. The dude never started a game for Seattle, if you remember back. And he's like, yeah, that guy, rookie, play him in the preseason. Let's go win a Super Bowl with him the next year. As a rookie, Russ was 26 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, and then they win a playoff game, losing the division round, and then next year they're winning the Super Bowl. So outside of it's for somebody who understands offense, for someone who understands leadership, for somebody who's done it and could command respect, for someone who would also do his own thing and not get swept up in the Bearsdom. As far like you Matt Campbell or just random, like Pete Carroll would know what the hell he's doing day one in here, would command respect. I get it, the age, but there's a lot of success there. There's a fire in that guy's belly always. If you took out the 73 part of him and made him 53, he would be right at the top. He'd be the Vrabel. He'd be right there. And so he's only getting disqualified because of that, which, hey, man, people are living longer. This guy keeps himself in shape. He doesn't need to be here for a decade. Let him have a 5-year run, hand it off to his OC, and we're good.
So when it comes to the age thing, I think it's a complicated conversation. One is, first of all, I generally don't care that he's 73 from a disqualifying standpoint. The Bears, I don't know if you know this, don't keep coaches more than 3 to 4 years anyway.
Right.
So, like if the problem is they win for 5 years and he needs to retire because of his health or something like that, great. Then you won some games, and that would be a change because this team doesn't win games. However, what I think the conversation really needs to be more about is not about what a guy's age is, but how does he fit in today's game of football? Is he still an innovator? Can he stay ahead of the game? Can he scheme at his age against, how old's Ben Johnson? 39?
6. Well, hold on, let me double check that.
No, he's not 36. He's not 36. I forget his age.
I think I just got confused with when they
38.
Marcus.
38,
yeah.
right? Like, so now he's going to be more of the CEO type head coach at this point in his career, but then that also becomes a question of who can he hire? Who is his staff? He struggled to hire the right OCs towards the end of his time there in Seattle. And I think that became a frustration and a reason why he lost his job. Now, on the other hand, like you say, yeah, this guy hired Shane Waldron too. That's a problem. Mm-hmm. They actually weren't that bad with Shane Waldron though. I think they were top 10 offensively and got some production with Geno Smith. So all these things are complicated. I don't know that I would describe Pete Carroll as an innovator anymore. So does he bring a baseline that raises your floor in the similar way that John Fox did? Yeah, but the question is, can he do more than what John Fox did? Now, the roster's in a little bit of a different spot. That was a complete teardown with John Fox, and I don't think he ever really had a ton of talent. I don't know. I think they would win more games with Pete Carroll. I don't necessarily believe they would go to a Super Bowl.
You go ahead, Bryce.
Yeah, I just think it's the same philosophy I held with Bill Belichick. Maybe not to the same extreme, because I really believe in the way Bill Belichick, his attention to detail and the way he's going to command a room and command a place like Hallis Hall that needs commanding. I believe in that. I don't care how old he is. And that same goes for Pete Carroll. I've said from the start that it is important for the next coach that comes in here to have a certain level of cachet and confidence that says, no, we're going to do things my way. We're not going to do it your way because your way hasn't worked for decades. And so we're going to listen to what I'm trying to do, or I'm not coming here. And Pete Carroll has that kind of cachet to be able to say something like that. Whereas some of these other guys that are, being interviewed, they don't, and are just going to take a job that's offered to them. So at the same time, he's a defensive coordinator, right? He's a defensive head coach, from a philosophy standpoint. He did once hire Shane Waldron. So, but he also, like by the end of it, I don't know if he would have kept Shane Waldron by it, but like that's a red flag. If you're hiring Shane Waldron, I don't care what kind of success they had here. We know what kind of success he had here, and it was brutal. But at the same time, I could trust that his coaching tree, he'd be able to find somebody as an OC, but I certainly would like to know who that is if I'm signing up for that deal. But they could do worse if you start getting into that second tier. And to the age standpoint, I agree with Hogue. If we're talking about, it was the same argument I made with Belichick. Well, what are we going to do in 4 years? If it works out, I don't care. Let's let it work out for the next 4 years, if that's what you're telling me. And if you got to get rid of them and now you have to make an adjustment to your coaching staff, well, at least you've got this train back on the tracks, because that's what the immediate necessary need is for this team.
Also, the next 3-4 years are crucial.
Crucial.
Those are the years you develop Caleb. So
exactly.
like even I could be sold in if I knew that the staff was good and I felt really great about who he's hiring to work with Caleb, and I'm like, okay, I know that for the next 3 years we're going to be a competent organization. We're going to win some games, and Caleb's going to be in a good place. But he's telling me right now, as we're hiring him, that no matter what, he's retiring at the end of his 3rd season. I'd probably still sign up for it.
We can force him into an advisory role after that.
It just looks. I think you have to be realistic in what's going to happen here. Everyone thinks Vrabel's going to the Patriots, right? And are the Bears and Ben Johnson going to find common ground here? I'm still, if I had to bet my life on what's going to happen, I think that they will, but it's at best 51%, right? If I'm just leaning into that, and also because no other candidate jumps out at me as to who they would hire. So I'm going to, people ask me, who do I think it's going to be? I'm going to say Ben, because I have no idea after that point. I think they're going to try, but the big thing is, are they ever going to get on the same wavelength? But let's just say that they don't add up, and Ben decides to go elsewhere. Well, who excites you? Where you know what you're going to get. I mean, I can hear I can hear Brian Flores for sure in that conversation, but when you start going deeper down the second tier here, to me, Carroll rises very quickly to the top of that.
If you're talking about second tier, he's at the top of the second tier. And that's with all due respect. I understand what his resume is. But I think Vrabel and Ben Johnson are 1A and 1B, but it is interesting. I mean, when you look at the list of head coaching candidates that were available, in 2018, I can remember guys' names like John DeFilippo and a lot of different names that Bears fans were talking about at the time. And I like somebody had posted a screenshot of like all the different names that I think like NBC Sports Chicago put up, and all 10 didn't work out. There's going to be somebody like Kevin O'Connell, who went to the Vikings, who took a long time to get hired after Matt Eberflus. There will be somebody on this list that the Bears don't hire that I'm sure will work out somewhere. And we'll go, hopefully we're not worried about, that person's success elsewhere because we picked the right coach for us. But that is the reality. And the reason why I think you can advocate for the process they're doing, where they're interviewing so many different people. Because, as Braggs' trial chimes into the chat saying, the best OC in football is Todd Monken. Exactly. Like, you got to talk to this guy, because he could be that diamond in the rough that not everybody, it's not the darling of everyone's eye, but could be the next coach that, really has success as an NFL head coach. And you're not going to know until you talk to him. So you got to go through this process, and you've got all the time in the world. You still haven't even talked to Ben Johnson, who is everybody's, number one pick.
All right. I think we've done it on the Carroll conversation. It's a done deal. He leads our top second tier along if the Bears end up there, which we know they will. Hey, Braggs, do you remember yesterday we were talking about this guy? I think his name was Tom Telesco.
I had heard about that.
Yeah. Do you guys realize that Tom Telesco was the GM for the Raiders for 1 year, just before we get to this weekend's playoff game? 1 year.
Yeah, because he was with the Chargers forever before that.
Okay, but I understand. How many Pro Bowlers in 1 year did Telesco bring to the Raiders?
In 1 year?
Yeah.
Well, Brock Bowers is one of them.
Right. It's one more than Ryan Poles in 3. They also do you remember the 2024 draft? who we picked at 75 and who they picked at 77. They got Delmar Glaze, who had a great year as playing in a ton of football games at offensive line. We picked Amagaji. I don't know. I'm just saying. And the Raiders are saying, get out of here. We got to align our coach and our GM together, and we're not doing it. I just think it's interesting. The guy, he had a great pick in Brock Bowers. He had a very good third-round pick. His second-round pick was productive, too, in Jackson Powers Johnson. I just think it's just when you look at how his success level and the fact that the Raiders are getting rid of him because they want synergy, I think it's interesting at least a little bit when in terms of what the Bears are doing.
Well, let me ask you that, Hogue, with the Raiders jumping into the Ben Johnson Derby, and everybody's thinking it's Jags versus Bears, and then all of a sudden it started to shift to Patriots versus Bears. Now the Raiders clean house, new head coach, new GM coming in. Trying to wipe that slate clean. You have a guy like Tom Brady, who certainly commands respect for anybody that sits in a room with him. Like, how much do they become a threat of landing a guy like Ben Johnson when you consider where their roster is at? They'd have to come up with some kind of a quarterback solution, but you have a guy like Tom Brady that's got your back.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mean to sound redundant, but all of these jobs, just like all these coaches, they have different flavors. This is why this is so hard to peg, because teams might value one characteristic over another, but the candidate might value this over that in terms of what the teams are offering. If you're fortunate to have more than one option. So if you're the Raiders right now, I think they've kind of fixed their ownership issue. I mean, we always know that they're going to throw some money around down there with the Davis family, but how reputable are they as owners? Well, now they got Tom Brady, so that kind of fixes that. Tom Brady came in there and fixes that. They have a new stadium. They have good facilities, but they don't have the quarterback, right? So and they give you flexibility to possibly bring in your own GM if you want. So they check a lot of the boxes down there. It could be a very attractive job, but they don't have the quarterback right now. And that's a big question. So and that might be all. Maybe Ben Johnson cares about that. Maybe he doesn't. But if you just go off the quarterback derby, we're talking about Caleb Williams, Drake May in New England, who, by the way, little caveat there, went to North Carolina, which is where Ben Johnson went to college. And then obviously Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville and Aiden O'Connell in Las Vegas.
Do you, along those lines, the Ben Johnson, Drake May, New England Patriot, Carolina lines, if you're Mike Vrabel and you're telling teams like the Bears that, hey, my number one pick is New England, aren't you really, really, really mad today that the Patriots are going to go and talk with Ben Johnson after their own three-time champion who really wants to come there and seemingly had a good interview, and they're still doing interviews? I mean, if I'm Vrabel, I'm like, hey, man, if that's what you're going to do, then I'm off to Chicago because they've got Caleb and I actually look like a bear and I should be a bear. I think Vrabel could be
look like a bear.
Vrabel needs to be mad about this. Is there any chance that
you just want him to be mad about it?
I do.
Well, we can try to create that if you want.
Well, that's what I'm doing. And Brax, if you were Vrabel and they were interviewing Ben Johnson, you'd be having a heart attack right now.
I would chuck a granola bar at them.
You would.
You
would.
Without hesitation.
Exactly.
Just start flinging a whole box of chewy granola bars at them.
Right? I found it interesting that they interviewed Vrabel in Boston yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Not in Foxborough. But that's a different situation. I think he spent plenty of time in Foxborough.
Now, what kind of granola bar is the question? Like a s'more granola bar? Or are you like just, standard plain or chocolate chip? Like, which way are you guys going if you're chucking a granola bar at somebody?
Nature Valley.
Now, that's hard. See, like Nature Valley are kind of like more harder. They're not as soft.
I'm trying to have an impact.
Well, if I'm throwing the granola bar, it means I'm like, I don't want it. So I'm probably going to go peanut butter.
Yeah, exactly. Nobody likes peanut butter. Nobody. Peanut butter is disgusting.
right here would kill for a peanut butter granola bar right now. All right. Before we leave you for the weekend, we are going to have a playoff prediction competition on the show. We have not determined what the loser is going to have to do, but it's going to be good. And then the winner is going to be anointed something as well. So we'll figure that out down the line here in a meeting with upper management. But why don't we're doing picks against the spread here, team.
I don't like this.
Too bad.
But I don't like the against the spread. Let's just pick them straight up. Nope. I don't do the spread thing. Well, then I'm not doing the game.
That's not how it's going to go. You're going to pick these games. And we will start with you, Gregory. The Chargers and the Texans. Chargers on the road. They are a 3-point favorite.
This is bullshit. I'll take the Chargers.
You're betting on Jim. You're betting on Harbaugh. Yeah. Who you got?
I am going to take the Texans at home. The Chargers being a good story, but I think at home they'll still get it. I still think the Texans roster overall is a little bit better. And so they're getting 3 at home. That's why I'm taking Houston.
We're bringing Steven in here for his picks too, because some people think Steven's the smartest guy on the show. So go.
I was raising my hand to agree.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Who do you got?
For honestly, I just don't believe the Chargers are for real. Like, if they don't get ahead early in a game where they could just set up the run and just continue running the clock the way that Harbaugh wants it, I mean, they're not really in a position to succeed. They only have one good receiver, and he's a rookie. So, yeah, I'm taking the Texans there.
Texans defense is better. They can run the ball, and they've got that guy, C.J. Stroud. Justin Herbert still looking for his first playoff win. You're giving me points. I will take the Houston Texans at home. All right, Steelers and Ravens. Go ahead, 9.5 points.
Yeah, I mean, this is one I'm going to stay away from in real life because there's always the chance that how good the Steelers are in terms of coaching, they can come up with some game plan for this third time, playing them this season. They split the first two, right? Though the Steelers won the first one, the Ravens came back and won the second one.
That's correct.
Yeah, and if you watch the second one, I was watching that episode of Hard Knocks the other night where they kind of really got in depth on that game. I mean, the Ravens were in control of that the whole time. These two teams are going in completely different directions. Lamar was named, by the way, first team All-Pro this morning over Josh Allen, which was super interesting. So I guess there's always the chance the Steelers come up with a good game plan to make this closer, but my gut just tells me the Ravens pull away with this one and win by at least 10.
Gregory?
Yeah, well, I switched my pick because I'm going to try to do this stupid spread game that I don't play. So I'm going to take the Steelers because 9.5 just seems tall for two teams that have played each other twice. There's a familiarity there. So that means it's going to be tight. Divisional rivalry. 9.5, too much, too rich for my blood. I'm going to take the Steelers to cover, but Ravens to win.
Yeah, I'm with Braggs on this one. I think it's probably the biggest rivalry in the NFL right now. And those two teams very familiar with one another. They keep it close. I'm going to take the Ravens to win. I actually have them going all the way to the Super Bowl this year, but I think that the Steelers cover.
All right, I'm giving myself the benefit of the switching my pick in the moment here. Baltimore's won 4 in a row. Steelers have lost 4 in a row. Ravens are a better team. I was picking just because of Mike Tomlin, but the Steelers have gone so far south that I will, and I also like to be opposite of Gregory, so I will take the Ravens to cover the 9.5. Which, by the way,
my other prediction for these games with the Steelers is that Justin Fields somehow is going to go on a generational playoff run. And I'm only basing that off of because for the last 12 months as Bears fans, we have just been the most miserable human beings on the planet. And there's only one thing that can stoke that fire further for the rest of these playoffs, and that's Justin Fields going on a generational run. It's written in stone. T3P will be in our chat every day, reminding us how stupid we are as Justin Fields leads the Steelers to a Super Bowl. That's how it's going to finish.
It would be perfect. He gets first play of the game. Russ injured. Here comes Justin. All of a sudden, Steelers play the best game they played in a minute. Win by 2. Justin running into the end zone for the final score on like a 2-point, I don't know, whatever, something of that ilk. All right. Let's go to
But okay, in a much more like practical conversation when it comes to that, I said this last week, and I couldn't believe they did it. They do need to use Justin Fields more. They absolutely do. They should have done it against Cincinnati last week. I said they should. I thought they would, and I don't understand why they don't, because Russell Wilson's struggling right now. Pickens was terrible last week. Their offense sucks. Sometimes you just need a spark. I don't know why they didn't do it last week, and I think they should do it this week.
And one of the things the Steelers have been worst at this season is the 3rd and 4th and short situations. So it's like that's perfect for Justin Fields, where you can just run the ball or just be a dual threat.
Yeah. Okay. Shout out to you, Justin. We're still talking about you, and you're in the playoffs, and the Bears won 5 games. All right. It's to Sunday. We go Broncos and Bills. Bills a 9-point favorite at home. Anybody want to roll the dice on the Broncos here? I think that might be you, Hogue.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Broncos to cover. The Bills will win, but they've let some teams play closer than they should. Even the Patriots a couple weeks ago did. And this is the playoffs, so there'll be a little bit more urgency. I don't trust a rookie quarterback in this spot to go out there and win a game, but I do like the Broncos, and Sean Payton is a great coach too. So I think they're going to have some tricks up their sleeve to keep this thing closer than people think. And I think it'll be a pretty good game to start Sunday.
Well, I think that's a stupid thought, and I'm going to take the Bills to rout the Broncos. And, they're not going to get the luxury of playing the backups like they did last week with the Chiefs. And humble pie is coming for our friends over at DMVR, as much as I love them and I root for their happiness, even though they've had way too many championships for my liking, because I'm a jealous person in life. And so, but at the same time, the Bills are going to rout them.
I got the Bills covering, but I think they're going to have to play a different game than what they're used to. Broncos really good at stopping quarterbacks running the ball in particular. They only allowed 3 rush touchdowns to opposing QBs this year. So I think the Bills are going to have to be passing the ball more. That means Patrick Surtain's going to be heavily involved defensively. So who's going to be that second receiver to step up? Is it Khalil Shakir? Is it Amari Cooper? Is it Keon Coleman? Someone has to step up receiving for the Bills, but I still think they find a way to cover.
Right. And along those lines, I'll take Buffalo to cover. Look, what Denver does best, what Steven's talking about, they get to the QB. I mean, the Broncos had more sacks than they've ever had in the history of the Broncos this year, but the Bills up front, 14 sacks allowed because Josh Allen gets rid of the football here. So I'm going to bet on him to be able to do that against Denver and do it well at home. So so you're taking the Bills? Yep.
So how many of the Broncos' 10 wins this season came against playoff teams?
That's an excellent question. Let's see. Well, they beat Tampa, right? They beat.
You're looking at the schedule. The answer's 2.
I was trying to get to the schedule. Thank you. Well,
the answer's 2, and at Tampa, week 3 was one of the kind of weirder results in the season, I thought, but it was a convincing 26-7 win. That was a long time ago, back in September. The second one was against the Chiefs last week, 38-0, when the Chiefs played nobody. Right. So,
yeah, well, so they should have beaten the Chiefs twice, right? Wasn't it like
they had the
field goal situation?
The blocked field goal at the end, they had a chance. But the point is, if you're Braggs and you think my Broncos opinions suck, that's what you should have said.
But I didn't. I just had the good punchline, and then we're going to move on.
Yep, that's what we'll do. All right, Packers and Eagles. Green Bay, of course, on the road. 14-win Philadelphia. The Eagles a 5.5-point favorite at home. Anybody
picking up to 5.5?
That's what I have in front of me right now. Is anybody? I
thought I saw 4.5 all week.
Okay. ESPN has it at 5.5, and so I mean maybe you can pick and choose a line. Whatever. We're going with 5.5. Anybody taking Green Bay other than me?
Not to win, but to cover.
You do have them to cover.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen these two teams play in the season opener this year. That was a very, very close game. It comes down to a Hail Mary attempt that I believe Jordan Love wasn't even in on because he got injured the play before. Was it that MCL sprain? So, I mean, we've seen these two teams play a close game in a neutral site already. Now we're going to see them play in Philly. I still think the Packers could keep it close. I'm not going to take them to win. This is, for me, the hardest game to pick of the entire slate. But, I do think they keep it close.
Yeah, I simply picked the Eagles because I'm not picking the Packers, but
I like it.
I'd be lying to say if, I agree. It's a coin flip game, and I absolutely could see the Packers winning that game.
Third in the NFL rushing defense, Green Bay Packers. Get ready for that, Saquon. I got at least the Eagles, at least Green Bay covering, rather.
Well, similar question. How many of the Packers' 11 wins came against playoff teams?
They can't even beat the Bears.
Same answer. 2. 1 came against the Rams back when the Rams were losing to teams such as the Chicago Bears. And the other would have been a close 2-point win over the Houston Texans at Lambeau back on October 20th. Point is, this is a Packers team. They had the same record in the NFC North as the Chicago Bears. That's a fun fact for you. I think they're a little fraudulent. I think you saw that last week against the Bears. I think the Eagles are on a roll. Jalen Hurts comes back. They ride Saquon, and they win this one by at least 10 points.
Well, if you remember when they beat the Texans, that was with Malik Willis. So that means that Jordan Love's only beaten one team this year. That's a good team. So
wait, they beat who with Willis?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Right?
Which team did you say though?
The Texans.
Texans, right?
No, Malik Willis played against the Colts and the Titans back in September.
Love played.
You know what? Jordan was because we were actually at almost home. That was the day of the Washington Commanders game. Remember, we were watching it as we were setting up the set, and Jordan Love got hurt during that game for a short period of time. That's what it was. I forgot. My bad. But Jordan, at that point, it was like, man, is Jordan going to make it through this season? But so.
All right, 2 more to go here, team. Sunday night, Commanders at Tampa, Washington at Tampa. Bucks are a 3-point favorite at home. Braggs, you're going first on this one, buddy.
I think the Commanders are going to win this game and cover the spread. I don't know, man. The Commanders fans obviously annoy me now after everything that happened with the Fail Mary. But they just feel like they're on this run, this fate run, and everything seems to be going their way. I can see the Bucks winning the game, but the Commanders, they just have that vibe, and I don't know if that fire is going to burn out this week. I think once they start playing the teams that are legitimate Super Bowl contenders, I think they'll meet the rubber will meet the road there, but I don't think it'll be this week. I think Jaden Daniels' great rookie year will continue on here for at least another week.
Hogue?
Yeah, this is the Bucks. This is my toughest game all weekend. And the Bucks are really hard to figure out because I can do the same thing about playoff teams, not playoff teams. I mean, they finished 6-1 in their last 7. They also looked like crap last week against the Saints in that game. So I don't know if they were just on cruise control or whatever. Most of those wins at the end of the season came against bad teams. They did beat the Chargers really convincingly on the road, so that's a good one. You go back to the beginning of the year, they beat this Washington team in week 1. They beat the Lions in week 2. They beat the Eagles in week 4. They were off to a great start. So it's hard to kind of figure out what this Bucks team exactly is. I will say, so in a situation like this, you could say the same thing about the Commanders. They got off to a fast start and then really fell off. They're still in the playoffs. I just think the Bucks are better overall. And if nothing else, I am going to trust a veteran quarterback over a rookie quarterback in the playoffs. So I hate that this number's at 3. That's like the dreaded spread I hate more than anything. But I will take the Bucks very reluctantly. I think it's a 1-score game though.
I'm on the Bucks too. Commanders can't stop the run. Bucky Irving, Rashad White, Sean Tucker, big game. The Commanders at the bottom of the NFL, stopping the football on the ground, 30 out of 32. Steven?
Yeah, I'm going to take the Bucks to cover at home as well. For a lot of the same reasons Hogue just said, I think experience wins out there. Baker Mayfield, more of a veteran quarterback. Mike Evans, I think he could have a huge game. He should be matched up against Benjamin St. Juste, who I just don't think is a very good corner. And that Bucky Irving that you just mentioned, Carm, I think he's one of the most electric players in the NFL that we're just not talking enough about right now. He's only a rookie. He's a dual threat. He does it all. I think he's going to be one of those running backs we're talking about 5 years from now as one of the best in the game.
May the Bears find their Bucky Irving in the draft.
I tried. I think if you go back to Hogue Mock Draft 1.0
you had it in there. I remember that.
There's one every year. There's one every year.
I honestly think that when you fast forward down the line 10 years, NFL teams will start hiring more media people to make these picks. They'll just see who gets them right. They'll start paying attention to it. And Adam Hogue will segue from the CHGO Bears podcast, from Hogan Johns, from everything else he does in Hogue life to being an actual NFL general manager. I'm going to start the campaign now. 2025, Jan 10th, Hogue for GM NFL. We'd hate to lose him, but we want people to be of their best use in life. And I think you as an NFL GM could be even have a greater impact saving the Bears. Yes?
Fourth round, pick 125. Bucky Irving, who, by the way, local kid, went to Hillcrest. I had him third round. I think he would have been worth the third round pick.
I don't know, man.
We need Amagashi there. We need a different local product.
So with the Amagashi pick, I had the Bears taking Bucky Irving, one of my favorite running backs in the draft. Irving lacks some size and a little power, but he will be an impactful weapon right away. Elite quickness, makes a ton of tacklers miss, and especially deadly in open space. He's the type of player defenses will have to account for immediately, even as a rookie. Have a great weekend, everybody.
All right, last one. Monday night, we can talk Vikings and Rams. Minnesota's got to be on the road here with 14 wins. Of course, though, this game's being played in Glendale, Arizona due to the wildfires out in LA. Everyone who's been affected by that or even not affected by that, just an absolute horrendous tragedy. It's impossible to put yourself in what it would feel like to lose your childhood, your long time, your current home. I mean, all this is just, and then where do you go from there? Just absolutely crazy. And keep on hearing the word apocalyptic, one of my friends out there. So all of that on the table before we pick them. But as for the game, the Vikings are a 3-point favorite on the road, although I'm sure there'll be a ton of Vikings fans in Arizona. Who do you got, Hogue?
Yeah, I have the Vikings. I like the Vikings even before everything that transpired this week, and I just don't know how, with everything going on, that's not some type of distraction for, who knows? I don't know which players live where and knew it, but I don't know how that wouldn't be a giant distraction. I know that there have been some athletes in LA that have been affected by all this, but then you take the home field aspect of it away. Obviously, it's not the hardest thing in the world to get over to Arizona, but I gotta go Vikings here. These two teams did play earlier in the season. The Rams won that game. It was on a 5-day window though, where the Vikings were coming off of playing the Lions and then only had a few days to prepare to go out west and play the Rams. Tough stretch. Now that has been a thing. You play the Lions, you usually struggle the next week from the physicality standpoint, but I'm still going to ride with the Vikings here. And a huge game for Sam Darnold. Huge game.
Steven?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm going to go the other way with this one. I'm going the Rams. They already won this game 30-20 once before. You look at the Rams' strength, it's their wide receivers. You look at the Vikings' weak defense, or their weakness, it's defending wide receivers. Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, I think they go off. And I'm still on this. I get they had a great record this year. They played a great season. I think the Vikings are fraudulent. I just don't think they're as good as they played. And I know it's crazy to say with the record they have and what we've seen from them, but I'm not buying in that Sam Darnold just suddenly figured it out and that Aaron Jones is going to be the Packers great that he was with the Vikings now. I can't buy it. I'm going to take Matt Stafford and the Rams.
Gregory, interesting line here. 3 points. The Vikings. There's a lot of ways you could read this one. What do you got?
Yeah, I'm going to take the Vikings. That's good. Such a weird game being in Arizona, and everybody kind of being affected in that way. How will the Rams play from an emotional standpoint? Sometimes I guess that's kind of more my thing when I look at games and matchups. I kind of look at the vibe. All these teams are good. And so, what are you playing for? What's your mentality going into the game? What's your obstacles you've overcome? Sometimes those things, hang heavier for me when I try to decide. And so I'm taking the Vikings. I think the Rams just have too much to overcome from a logistical standpoint this week. And we've saw throughout the year with the Bears, the more distractions you have throughout the week, the harder it is to be ready for game day. And when you talk about something as serious as, trying to figure out, your family and friends, and they're losing their homes, and the seriousness of that situation. Playing a football game can kind of pale in comparison of importance of top of mind. So it's going to be really hard for them to pick themselves off the mat this week. I did see a Vikings fan. I wish I'd have tagged the name to make sure I gave him, but I did see a Vikings fan like encouraging other Vikings fans that are going to the game to like be cool, like show some grace to Rams fans, buy them a beer, be cool to them. And I thought that was just from a fan point of view, I thought a good message and a nice gesture and a good thought.
Well, they're Minnesota nice anyway.
That's true.
We don't worry about. Yeah. By the way, this line has moved. It was 1.5 before the game got moved to Arizona. Now it's 3. So
the Rams have the least amount of points per game of any but team in the playoff, just over 21, and their defense, by the way, is giving up more yards than anyone. But I think the line's weird. Like I think Minnesota should be a 5-point favorite here. It's a 14-win Vikings team. So I'm taking the Rams because I think the line is fishy here. And I'm also betting on you, Sean McVay, who saw what the Lions did to the Vikings last week, put that on tape, and maybe he can capitalize on that a little bit further. Plus, they do have those guys, Puka and Cooper and whatnot, which cause a lot of problems here, too, alongside that guy, Stafford.
Before we go, I just wanted to add this point in for you guys. Like, I don't know how dialed in you were to the game last time. I'm assuming you guys all watched it. It was a fantastic game with Penn State.
So dialed in. Didn't miss a minute.
Did you actually watch it, or are you being an idiot?
I actually did. I was with my
all right, then shut up and let me finish my point.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
I just thought Abdul Carter. You can stay in this, Steven, if you watch the game.
No,
I mean, I just thought all right. I just thought Abdul Carter was fantastic in that game. Absolutely just a menace and just an impossible guy to try to figure out. Coming around that corner, I think they probably could have called like 6 holds. Like every time he was coming around that corner, I felt like he was getting held. There was a point in the game where they dropped 3, or they rushed 3 and they dropped him, and he still made an impact on how the pass rush got home because they're so worried about this guy. And I just like envision him in a Bears uniform and being opposite of Montez Sweat. Like that's certainly a dream. I don't know if Hogue, you think he's capable of a guy that can fall to 10. But I just thought he played a just absolutely phenomenal game, and he played injured too with a hurt shoulder, and you could see that was bugging him throughout the game, and he gave it his all. It was an absolutely entertaining game, but just watching Abdul Carter, I was just in awe.
Fingers crossed that he does. I'll answer that for you, Hogue, but go ahead if you want to throw it in.
Yeah, I mean, it's guys, we've been covering one of the most tumultuous seasons of all time, went straight into a coaching search. So I feel like I've already been covering for a month. I can tell you 0 things about the NFL draft right now. I promise you I will get into it. We got some exciting draft coverage coming up that we have been working on behind the scenes that I can't wait to share with everybody. But do I know if Abdul Carter is going to fall to number 10 right now? I have no idea. I know he's really good. I enjoyed watching him play last night. He was definitely playing hurt. I want to know more about that shoulder. I have a feeling that'll be a topic of conversation over the next couple months. Yeah.
We got to get out of here because Hogue's got to start preparing because he's having people over on Sunday, and he's going to be doing his Hogue cooking, which this week he brought like clams and his own homemade red sauce to the station like he was an actual chef himself. So Hogue chef is going to be going here. I'm very excited to eat the delicious cuisine that he'll be preparing for all of us on Sunday.
You're not getting seafood medley and red sauce, that's for sure.
Well, I if we are still invited,
get some meatballs.
I'm bringing something deep from the Carm vault.
You know what I would like? I would like the full Hogue experience. Like the room he's in right now is his office, and right in front of him where he's sitting, there's a bed. And so for me, like I just think it would be a great like a perk for fans, like me or anyone, like a bed and breakfast. You get to lay in bed while Hogue does Hogue and John's and just kind of lay there and have breakfast served to you, watch the games the night before, have some drinks, maybe have a cigar on the back porch, and then just lay out while you do your podcasting in bed. I think that would be great.
Sounds really weird, but
yeah. And the fact that that there's a bed in the room, and you like put this to
What do you
memory.
mean? Have you ever been in his office?
Yes, and I don't remember. I didn't take a mental snapshot of what's going on in the Hogue office, but which maybe I should have, but I find it to be slightly weird at this moment. I know that Hogue's got to go. I got to go. You got to go, Greg. Steven's got to go. We all got to go. We'll see you Sunday.
Oh, we have supers?
Oh, yeah, we got supers. My bad. Let me put the glasses on. All right, first up on the mark, $5. Hire an obvious top candidate and lose. That's on them. Get cute with your coach and lose. That's on the front office. Just take the win, but they won't. On the mark, I'm with you, man. Don't overthink it. CJ Abbas, $20. Thoughts on Will Campbell? I know it's early. Be nice with the guard frame or potential tackle. Who is an early pick? Sorry, Hogue. I know you don't want to talk drafts early. Thanks, guys. Look at this guy apologizing to you. But maybe we'll do the Campbell connection. Will and Matt. Let's go Iowa State. Let's go Will. Let's do this.
No. CJ, I promise I'll have breakdowns on all these guys soon. Yeah, Will is the tackle from LSU that very highly regarded and is definitely a good player. Could be a top 10 pick. Could be right there in the range for the Bears. Can't wait to watch more of his tape.
Will Land, not related to the great, or could be related, I suppose, to the great Bill Land, who just retired, voice of the San Antonio Spurs, who's the father of Taylor Land, who's a great point guard at St. Edward's University. Will, I hope you're a diehard, because that's a diehard read right there. $5. Hell, make Pete the director of football operations when he's done coaching. Please just be competent. There you go. A vote for Pete Carroll from Will Land.
Okay. And then Tyler says it's Vrabel or bust for $199, which
Thank
is
you,
fine
Tyler.
too. I like Vrabel. I like the super fan disciple, $199. Pure poetry, brags.
I'm assuming he's only talking about my bed and breakfast idea.
I think it's everything you said today. You were just you were so unbelievably soothing and enjoyable to listen to.
I think it'd be a great diehard perk. I think Gary could be the first candidate.
Gary should get to stay at Hogue's at least 1 week at every month. I think that should be a thing. You guys should get up in the morning, have breakfast, talk Bears, NFL, and work out your differences. I think that'd be good for both of you.
This is definitely the longest non-Matt Eberflus got fired Friday show in the history of this company. It feels like we talked to Al Harris 3 hours ago.
It was, and Al was amazing. All right, we'll see everybody on Monday.
I do a walk-off, but I don't have pants on.
I'm wearing my yellow.
We all silly like the mayor.